In this video, we're going to talk about customary units of length and how to convert measurements back and forth. But before we do, we want to talk about some common units that you need to know, or maybe you already do know them. So you need to know there's 12 inches in a foot, that there's 3 feet in a yard. You need to know there's 36 inches in a yard, that there's 5,280 feet in 1 mile, and that there's 1,760 yards in a mile. If you don't know those are just some basic units that you should probably know. They just kind of are things that we utilize enough in everyday life. You should remember them. One of those things, how does math help us in life? Well, this is common enough. We should know it. It's like gallon man. If you don't know that, you should memorize him too. It helps you when you cook. Even if you don't plan on cooking a lot, you will. But, so let's talk about how do we convert back and forth between all this. So, if we want to change larger units to smaller unit, we're going to multiply. In a minute, we're going to talk about how to go from a smaller unit to a larger unit. We're going to do the opposite, or the inverse, which is divide. But for right now, we're going to multiply to go from a larger unit to a smaller unit. So, we're going to talk about a bridge map, where we're going to use relating factors. So, here we have a bridge map. Okay, so how do we use this bridge map? So, for example, we want to convert 4 feet into inches. Hopefully you can do this one in your head. So we're going to multiply, like I said, we're going to convert our 4 feet into inches. Well, we know that 1 foot equals 12 inches. So we would do 4 times 12. So we know that 1 foot equals 12 inches as, or just like, 4 feet equals 48 inches. So you're going to do 4 times 12. And our relating factor is that it's equal to. So we're going to say 4 times 12, and we know that 4 feet is 48 inches. Simple enough. Look what we're doing here. I'm setting up a proportion. Now the important part with this proportion is that my feet are on top here, my feet are on top over here. My inches are on top here, my inches are on bottom here. Excuse me, inches now. And I would set up that proportion like this. 1 over 12 is equal to 4 over x. And I would kind of do it like that. And solve it that way. Making sure that the missing part corresponds with the missing part here. I can set up my bridge map this way. If you can do it without a bridge map, that's fine. I'm just showing you a map, literally, of how to get there. So let's look at another one. I have 4 yards and 2 inches. Now this one is a little bit more challenging because I can't just multiply. I've got to add in those 2 inches. So this time I'm going to do 4 times 3, plus I've got to add in those other 2 inches. So I've got my 1 yard, represents my 2 feet. Over here I have my 4 yards, plus my 2 feet. It's going to represent 14 feet. And again, my relating factor is that it's equal to times 3 plus 2. So I did 4 times 3 to get my 12 feet, plus 2 more feet. I learned that 4 yards, 2 feet equals 14 feet. So you can either use a bridge map or you could use your relating factor. Relating factor is probably less work, but do it whichever one is easier for you. Do you want a visual or do you want the words? Do you want to say it's equal to times 3 plus 2, or do you want to draw it out proportion style? Okay, so what if we want to go backwards? What if I'm going to start small and go bigger? This time I'm going to use the inverse of multiplying, which is dividing. Hopefully that's something you knew. So I want to change from smaller to larger. I'm going to divide. I still need to remember that 1 foot equals 12 inches. Hopefully you knew that long before this video was made. So for example, 72 inches equals how many feet? Here's my bridge map. 1 foot over 12 inches. 6 foot, well, gave it away. It's going to equal 72. Relating factor is equal to dividing by 12. So 72 divided by 12 gives me 6. So here we have 246 feet. We're converting to yards. Remember to go from feet to yards. We're dividing by 3 because 1 yardstick is 3 feet long. These are the little things you have to remember. So I'm going to take that yardstick, divide it by 3 feet. Well, for my 246 yards, every 3 feet of it, dividing it by 3, and I'm going to find that I have 82 of those yardsticks. My relating factor is that it's equal to dividing by 3. So here's 2 ways to break down your customary units of length, 2 ways to convert. You can choose the way you want to do it. Do you want to draw a bridge map? Do you want to use your relating factor? And really there's a 3rd way. Just set up your proportion, but make sure that you put the proper thing on top. And as you see, I actually flipped it over here. Don't do what I did.